Good morning and welcome. Today we're examining a highly controversial legislative proposal making its way through the United States Congress, the Save America Act. This bill, if passed, would introduce stricter voter requirements, a move that critics fear could significantly suppress voter turnout and make it more challenging for millions of Americans to exercise their right to vote. A key point of contention involves new provisions that could specifically impact married women. The Save America Act proposes that married women who have changed their names may need to update their identification documents to be eligible to vote. This detail was highlighted by White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. Initially, on Tuesday, Ms. Leavitt denied that the law would hinder voting for married women, calling it a myth invented by Democrats. However, she later conceded that the draft bill indeed requires married women to re-register if their names have changed. She clarified that those already registered under their updated names would not be affected. Ms. Leavitt explained that for the small portion of people who have changed their name or address, they would simply need to follow their state's processes to update their documentation. Despite this acknowledged hurdle, she emphasized that passing the Save America Act is the most crucial step Republicans and even Democrats can take to strengthen election integrity and safeguard American democracy. The Save America Act's scope extends beyond just voter registration. The draft also includes a federal provision aimed at preventing men from competing in women's sports. Additionally, it proposes a ban on what former President Trump and his cabinet refer to as transgender mutilation operations, a term they use for gender-affirming surgeries for transgender individuals. This broad agenda underscores the bill's wide-ranging implications. The proposed legislation involves numerous amendments to the National Voter Registration Act of 1993. Key among these are requirements for voters to present proof of citizenship and proof of residency when they register. It would also mandate a voter identification card and a cleanup of voter lists every 30 days. Critics are sounding alarms, warning of a potential decrease in voter participation. They express concern that otherwise eligible voters could be turned away at polling stations due to insufficient documentation. A YouGov survey from the year 2023 revealed that more than half of all Americans do not possess a passport. Obtaining official copies of birth certificates can be a time-consuming process, and the costs associated with passports or birth certificate copies could be prohibitive for some Americans. These factors raise significant barriers to accessing the ballot box. This isn't the first time such measures have been proposed. An earlier attempt by Republicans to pass similar legislation failed in late 2025, following widespread national opposition. Previous versions of the bill even demanded that Americans bring proof of citizenship every time they cast a ballot, a provision that has since been removed. Former President Trump also tried to introduce a voter identification requirement in June, which was blocked by a federal judge. The judge sharply criticized those efforts, arguing that additional hurdles in the electoral process would primarily harm eligible voters by creating substantial barriers before they could cast their votes. Despite past setbacks, former President Trump remains resolute. Speaking to conservative lawmakers on Monday, he insisted that the Save America bill must be the party's top priority. He explicitly stated that the law would guarantee the midterms, referring to the November parliamentary elections, and warned of big problems if it doesn't pass. Addressing the House Republican caucus, Trump asserted that failure is not an option and declared that he would not sign any other law until this bill is enacted. In a telephone interview with NBC News last week, Trump went further, stating he would shut down the government over this issue. He reiterated at the Republican meeting, "I don't think we should pass anything until this is passed." The Save America Act therefore represents a major legislative battleground, pitting arguments for election integrity against serious concerns over voter access and potential disenfranchisement. Its future will undoubtedly shape the political landscape of the United States. What's your take on U.S. voter law sparks debate, married women and ID rules? Share your view in the comments. Do you think this will matter in the next news cycle? This video was generated using artificial intelligence.